Space, the final frontier, as they say. Well, it's being conquered by SpaceX now, but we're also finding out it's racist and sexist. Hello, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. Amazing news coming out of space. Elon Musk's SpaceX having the furthest into orbit people have been since the moon landing, doing a spacewalk. All of this on a private spacecraft. Fascinating. But we also find out, colleague Brian Passafume at the Toronto Sun writing a piece about how Canada's Department of National Defence spent $32,000 on a study about space being sexist and racist. I never knew. Kris Sims is with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. They uncovered this waste, and she joins me now. Kris, I see you're wearing your Star Trek shirt. May the Force live long and prosper with you, or whatever you people say.
I'm offended already.
I know, but aren't you more offended at this study? I know people will say, "Oh, it's only $32,000." How many $32,000 studies are there studying ridiculous things? Tell us about this sex is racist and sexist study.
It is just bizarre, Brian. So full credit goes to our investigative journalist who works at the Taxpayers Federation, Ryan Thorpe. It is his undesirable job to dig through expense reports and silly things like this with the federal government and pull up examples. And you're absolutely right. This is just an example. So turns out, I don't even want to give their names because I don't want to bother looking it up. Couple of authors, couple of academics actually got about $32,000 to write up their opinions or estimations on space, like actual space and space exploration, and the isms and stuff in here. Let me just read the opening line here. Current approaches to outer space are heavily Western, state-centric, militarized, masculinized, and colonial, and encourage practices that are racist, exploitative, elitist, environmentally destructive. That's according to an intersectional feminist report on outer space bankrolled by the Department of National Defense to the tune of $32,225. What really gets me going on this, Brian, and you were right to tee this up with the Elon Musk actually sending more humans into space. It's phenomenal.
Two women, I believe.
There's two women there. Yep.
Yeah,
I
because space
just
is sexist, and so is Elon Musk.
This is the thing. I just watched a woman do a spacewalk. That's astonishing. Like, this is a huge accomplishment in real life. People are actually in orbit. I think there are 19 humans in orbit right now. We are the furthest from Earth's surface than we were since Apollo in like the last 50 years. So in the real world, where you and I are talking right now using some pretty space age technology, there are women in space. There are all sorts of really cool people in space. And if I can just take off my CTF hat for a second here, space exploration and science fiction that goes with it is one of the most welcoming, inclusive, progressive places that you could ever study.
Well, and look, I've known you for longer than either one of us want to admit, Kris, and I know that you are a big space geek. It's why I mixed up Star Wars and Star Trek in welcoming you, just to offend you. But everybody that I meet, just like you, there's a very welcoming community, and this stuff is crazy. Let me read you another quote. Space systems represent an unevenly distributed continuum of human benefits and harms that are shaped by gender, race, socioeconomic status, geographic location, and other differentiating qualities. That's from this ridiculous report that should be perforated and put on a roll. But we paid for it. We paid for this. And I have no idea why DND thinks that we need to be looking at things through intersectional feminism.
This is it. You're right. D&D paid for this. Okay, where we usually want solar sailors and aviators like actually out doing stuff and people protecting our country for those soldiers and sailors. But no, they're bankrolling this. They're bankrolling this. And I'm going to put it onto, it's easy to rail against politicians. We do it here every day at the Taxpayers Federation, but they can't know everything. I'm going to put this back onto the plates and the desks of the bureaucrats at D&D. So the next time somebody says, you know what, I find out, well, why space is sexist. No, no, there has to be an adult in the room at the desk, at the decision-making table that says, you know what, that's a huge waste of money and your time. Go do something more productive and stop wasting taxpayers' money.
But I
This
don't
is
think
on
the
all of us.
bureaucrats, I don't think the bureaucrats at the Department of National Defense are going to do that because they fully have bought into this. It was a little while ago, I was writing about the official journal of the Canadian Armed Forces publishing a piece that said that the armed forces is built upon white supremacy, settler colonialism, and all the other ridiculous statements that come out from people infected with the woke mind virus.
You know, again, just from my own family experience, I have a ton of family members and very dear family friends, some of whom are no longer with us, who were in the armed forces. And what I found the armed forces to be was a great equalizer for working class people. That was
Yep.
the way that they were able to see the world, to get a ton of experience, to get skills trades. It didn't matter what origin you were from. In fact, one of our closest family friends, Brian, personally, was from one of the oldest African Canadian or Black colonies in all of Canada, in Nova Scotia. And he was a medic for his entire life in the armed forces, highly decorated. So it's just sad and weird that we're now spending our time and our money looking at this sort of stuff. Now, do they have to make sure that everybody is treated equally and on the up and up? Of course. That's how most people were raised in the 70s and 80s. But the idea of fixating on this to the point where we are spending money, $32,000 to learn that, quote, women and other genders are not for the most part present in outer space. Really? Okay, number one, this is what's bothering me.
There's not that many people in outer space most of the time.
Just saying. I think right now, total, I think there are 5 women orbiting our planet. Like right now, up there. So that's just factually incorrect. And a lot of, so what I love about space exploration is how it's art and science mixed. Quite often, it's the fictional narratives that inspire the scientists to truly develop these sorts of things. One of the first space shuttles, not joking, in NASA was named Enterprise, right? And of course, we all know what that comes from. You
You
know,
geek.
it's
And,
art. I know, right? It's art inspiring
but
life.
also these devices that we all carry around.
That's right.
You know, the communicator from Star Trek,
And a universal.
inspired.
It's now a universal translator too. Like, just saying, it's really remarkable. And this is truly one of the sad things, if I can just speak as like a science fiction, you know, fan.
Nerd.
Sure, nerd, I'll accept that. It's people write and enjoy science fiction and fantasy to escape this stuff. They do. They do it in order to have everybody come together with a common purpose to the best of their ability and explore strange new worlds.
As
And
Oscar
this,
oh, sorry, finish.
I just find this, I find it sad. I find it sad that people are writing about how there are no women in outer space, and we have to pay for it. And frankly, I find it very Earth-centric. How do they not know that there aren't a ton of women on other planets? They don't. I'm offended.
You're never going to escape this stuff, Kris, because as Oscar Wilde said, the problem with socialism is you don't have any free nights. These are people without a life other than making yours and mine less pleasurable. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for the work of the CTF in digging this up. So put it to the audience. What do you think? You can drop a comment down below. You can share this on social media. Please do. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.